Is Earth going to be the hottest game of 2023? I don't know, but I am here to tell you the 3 things I like about it. Earth is an open world engine builder for 1 to 5 players, and yes, the game does take about an hour to play. No joke. Now, how does that actually happen is pretty cool. So I'm going to jump into it. The very first thing I like about Earth is the action selection, and that's just a really cool mechanic for me. And it makes me feel like it's Race for the Galaxy and Ares Expedition and San Juan, and those are 3 huge favorites in my house. So what players do is you've got an active player, they will select one of the 4 actions to take on their turn, they get a really cool super juiced action, and then everybody else at the table simultaneously takes a smaller version of that same selected action. So the first thing you could do is plant, and that's you taking your cards. This is hand management as well. You take one of your cards and you plant it into a 4x4 tableau in front of you. And that's really where the race of this game happens, because if a player finishes their 4x4 tableau by planting that 16th card, that's going to trigger the end of the game, and there's not going to be any more actions after that. So planting is huge, and you take your card and you put it into your area. The second action over is composting. And composting is super important too, because you have to get dirt or soil in some way, and there are many ways to get it, but this is the best way to get it and to kind of bank some victory points at the same time. So composting gets you the dirt, and the dirt allows you to buy your cards. That's you planting. You've got the soil, and now you're going to plant those cards or plant those really cool flora into your player tableau. So composting, second action, really, really good action you can pick from. The third possible action is watering, and watering is, again, super vital. As you can see, all of this is interconnected. It's this ecosystem of Earth where everything kind of feeds everything else, and you're really trying to build up this engine. When you water, you get growth. And growth comes in these little bitty cubies, and you place these little cubies, these water drops, onto your cards that you've already planted into your tableau. And they're going to be cards with a varying amount or even none of these spaces to put those cubes. And that's, again, your growth. Every growth that you put down on a card is worth a victory point at the end of the game, but you could use it as a resource to gain other things by spending them, but you can just go and put it back by doing another water action. When you grow, you also just get a little bit of soil, which is nice. So that's another way to get some soil without doing the composting action. And the last action is growth. Growth is the way that you grow up those trees and those plants on your cards in your tableau. And you're going to be adding these little wood-colored trunks, and your card tells you exactly how high that tree should be. So if it's 3 high, you put trunk, trunk, canopy. And the canopy, you can put any color you want. The colors are not associated with any player or with any particular type of plant or card, but that top means you've capped it. That means you've made it as tall as it can be, and you will earn the max victory points that's stated to the other side, to the right of the little space where you put your trunks. And on the left side of it, you're going to see that's how high your growth can be. So growth is important because you want to get victory points and you want to grow these trunks, but you also get to draw cards. That's where you really get to fill your hand so that you can plant those cards, but you've got to have the soil to plant the cards, and the cards out are going to either grow trees or they are going to grow sprouts. This is all interconnected and just super, super cool. So when a player activates, let's say, the watering action, they get to do the really good, super cool part, and then underneath it, it states, here's what everybody else does. And so mostly actions are simultaneous, and that's what makes this game so fast. That's what makes this game so good. because once you've selected it, you do yours, they do theirs, and then everybody at the end gets to run the cards and the actions that are associated with the selected action. So again, if you're choosing watering, you get to activate all the blue bars on your climate card and on your player board, in addition to the planted cards that you've put out and the rainbow cards. Those are the multicolored cards. And that's just really cool because that multicolor band gets activated in the second, third, and fourth different action spaces, not in the plant, but in everything else. You get to run those, not just with the watering, but also with everything else. So cool. So it's a nice system. I love the I pick. We all get, but I get a little bit more. And then you have to wait your turn until it comes back to you because player turn order will pass to the left. Then that player gets to pick their action and everybody else does that. Then the next player goes and the next player. So that is just a really cool feature and the core mechanic of Earth. The next thing that I really like about this game is that it's got a point salad of opportunities to earn victory points. Now, the first place that players can earn victory points is in a collective objective area. This is a public space where you're racing to get to a particular objective, meeting these fauna cards. And fauna cards belong in the center and they can be achieved by anybody, but if you get there first, you're going to get higher amount of victory points. And they have certain thresholds that you have to meet with a variety of things. These cards, there are so many cards in this game. You're going to have 4 that are selected for every game, and that combination can be different every single time. But you might have a card that says, have so many number of cards that are 3 soil or cheaper to build or to plant. That's 1. Maybe it's about the color bars that you have for your activations on your plant and on your personal player board. Maybe it's about a symbol like a little snowflake frosty symbol that you can count in all of your cards all over your player area. If you can meet those thresholds, you get to place a victory point marker up there and get the amount. 15 is the best. You want to get first because it's all comparative. So the next player is going to go and they're going to get 11 and then next. So you want to get there first, but you also want to just get points. Other ways to get points? By making sprouts. Sprouts are 1 point each. If you compost cards by taking them from your hand or from the deck, depending on the symbol, you get to put it in this pile on your player board and every card is just a point. That's fantastic. You can play event cards and those event cards might give you points, but they also might take points away. So you have to be a little careful about using those at just the right time because you can play event cards at any point on any player's turn, not just yours. If you grow trees, that's going to give you victory points. And you're also going to earn points by a personal objective, which I think is really cool. It's an ecosystem that only applies to you, and you really want to go for that because that's going to be big points. And there are, yes, 2 public ecosystem cards that everybody can earn points from. The points are everywhere. You can play down cards into your tableau that say if you've got this many things going this way, then you're going to get 3 points each. And it's going to have row and column and diagonals. It's just going to be point salad everywhere. Points. I mean, it's just great because you can focus on one thing and just push it and really maximize your score. And other players can do whatever they want because it's really about the cards you draw from the deck. And that leads me to my third thing I really like about Earth is the massive amount of replayability. There are so many combinations of fauna cards that you can play. And these cards are front and back. So you might have played all the front sides of the fauna cards, 4 for every game, and still have only played half of the possibilities, and not even the combinations. There are tons of ecosystem cards. Every player is going to get an island or a habitat and a climate, and those are going to give them a very special, unique start with resources, but also with an ability that nobody else has. So there's a slight asymmetrical player start, and that changes every time. And there's just massive, like 3 stacks of cards, this stack. And those are all the flora cards and all the really cool stuff that you can draw and potentially play in any given game. So it's just so cool because, again, that replayability is there. I've never had a game that made me feel like I could just keep playing it always and never have a game that's the same, but really get into the race issue. And so I kind of want to leave you with a couple of my suggestions based on my, handful of plays, which I've played it a bit. I'm really excited. I've played it with the solo variant as well several times, and found that to be really, really engaging. You play against Gaia, and it feels like a multiplayer game for sure. It doesn't change the mechanics hardly at all. And she is a formidable opponent. So if you have the chance to play solo, I recommend it. It feels just like a regular game with everybody else. I do like playing with other players at the table because you never know what they're going to pick when it's their turn to activate one of those action spaces, and that's just exciting. It's fun. You can kind of guess. You're like, well, I'm looking over there. They don't have soil. They can't plant, so they're probably going to go and compost, or they're going to go and grab more cards if they're card poor. So this game really requires a lot of hand management skills, paying attention to what other players are doing, playing event cards when necessary to keep your engine going, and racing hard to play your cards. Because if you plant your 4x4, not only do you trigger the end of the game, you also get a bonus 7 victory points. And that's for only one player who's allowed to get that at the end of a round. You check to see, did someone build their 4x4? Boom, game is over. So there's just a ton to love here with the replayability, the combinations, the point salad opportunities, and that core mechanic of the action selection with your own personal player tableau. I just think this is going to be a super, super hot game, and it has the possibility of adding other really cool elements with expansions in the near future. So, just super cool. And again, I highly recommend that solo play as well with Gaia. So if you are a fan of hand management games, mostly player autonomy with your building 4x4 tableau in front of you and the action selection, I think this game is absolutely up your alley. And the kicker is that it takes an hour to play. Fantastically streamlined, and once you get past all the iconography, which there is a lot of iconography once you learn it, those games just go right on. They just clip at a nice pace. So enjoy Earth if you can get your hands on it, or play it online. I know I hear a ton of people playing it, virtually. It's just a stunner, and I will catch you later. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I can't wait to hear some feedback, but those were my 3 favorite things about Earth.